So you're looking for a workout to get better activation of your lower abs, but you don't want your legs to be the thing that's tiring out first. Guys, I got you covered here today, a follow-along workout that we're all going to be able to do. What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. So when it comes to the lower abs, it tends to be that this is the area that's most difficult for people to get to either show or even train them, because there's two things going on here. When we talk about getting them to show, yes, nutrition, as always, when it comes to revealing your abs, is a high priority. And because men especially tend to store their fat here the longest, it requires a higher dedication to good nutrition to be able to get them to show. So you need to be more dedicated and more committed to what you're eating to get to the low enough body fat levels to start to see the lower abs. But when we talk about the training side of it, all of us suffer from the same thing here, and that is lower ab movements are driven from moving the pelvis towards your shoulders. Well, attached to that pelvis is a pair of legs that happen to usually weigh a lot. So these become weighted ab movements that become very challenging, and oftentimes it's the hip flexors that get really fatigued first, limiting what you can actually do for your lower abs. So that being said, guys, I have the perfect antidote here, a workout that we're going to be able to follow along for beginner, intermediate, or advanced that's going to drive those movements from the bottom up to hit the lower abs, but includes that much needed reprieve that allows you to keep going when other workouts might cause you to quit. So the way this workout works is going to alternate those bottom-up movements that are going to involve the weight of the legs, the more challenging of them, with the less challenging, we call them hip flexor relief lower ab movements. And we do this in a way that actually accommodates the different levels of ability. If you're a beginner, you perform those bottom-up movements for 15 seconds, and you rest 15 seconds before moving on to the next exercise. If you're intermediate, you perform them for 20 seconds with a 10-second rest. And if you're more advanced, you perform them for 25 seconds with a 5-second rest. Now the hip flexor relief movement is going to, again, remove the weight of the legs. All you're going to try to do is isolate the pelvis and move it, and not worry about having the legs be the factor that weights you down or makes you fatigue too early. So because these are slightly easier, we're all going to aim to perform these for 25 seconds with a 5-second rest. If at some point you feel like you're getting fatigued here, you can take a quick rest and try to get back into it, but the fact is you go for as long as you can in that 25 seconds. As far as a specific exercise sequence, we start here with the figure 8. And what we're trying to do here is not just get that pelvis lifted off of the ground, but we're actually including some bottom-up rotation. So you get some of the obliques working with the lower abs to drive the movement. We move on to that first hip flexor relief exercise, which here is called the lower ab swipe. And what's cool about this movement is you're trying to reinforce the fact that you got your tailbone and pelvis off the ground by being able to swipe your hands underneath, make contact with them without touching or feeling your lower back, right? Because it's up off the ground high enough to allow you to do this. We come out of that move and we move into our third exercise, back to the more challenging lower ab exercises, and that is the bicycle V-up. Here we're just simply bicycling our legs and trying to sit up into that V position. Again, the weight of the legs is going to make this more demanding and more likely to fatigue out your hip flexors, so that means we need a little bit of relief, which brings us to our fourth exercise, and that is the heaven press. And here all you're trying to do is just simply press your heels into the ceiling. Again, lifting and driving by just trying to get your tailbone and pelvis off the ground, not worrying about anything else. The fifth exercise is going to be this three-way seated ab tuck. And interestingly here, we put this at the fifth spot because you have some additional assistance from your hands that will make this a little bit easier as you get to this point in the workout. You're probably getting a little bit more fatigued. And then we wrap up here with our final exercise for hip flexor relief. This is the KTE crunch, which stands for knees to elbow. Here you set up in a 90-90 crunch position, and you do not move your elbows at all. Your upper body stays locked in place. All you're trying to do is just, again, initiate that pelvic lift with the activation of that bottom-up ab movement to drive your knees into your elbows. So here we take this entire circuit, which will be done in a matter of 3 minutes, and we aim to complete it twice. You take a 1-minute rest in between circuits for a total of 7 minutes. Let's knock this thing out, guys. I know you can do it. So there you have it, guys. In just 7 minutes, you now have a game plan to get better activation of those lower ab fibers by targeting them with the lower up movements. At the same time, addressing the fact that most lower ab exercises and workouts can overtax those hip flexors. This is not going to be your problem. And remember, guys, when you want to get this area to show, you still have to have that commitment to your nutrition, because we know that this is the last place to come off. And if you have a step-by-step plan that makes it easy to follow, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier to do that. We have all of our nutrition plans included in our workouts over at ATHLEAN-X.com. If you found the video helpful, make sure you leave your comments and thumbs up below. Let me know what you want me to cover, or if you want me to do more of the follow-alongs, and I'll be glad to do them for you. And also, if you haven't done so, guys, make sure you click subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss a new video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.